This is the sound of vibrato. But what is it and how exactly does it work? Let's talk about it. Vibrato is a form of pitch modulation. Now, there are two types of modulations in guitar effects. One of them is volume modulation, and that simply means that the volume modulates, and modulate just means that it moves. So a volume modulation is a tremolo. Your volume goes up and down at a speed that you set. With vibrato, it is pitch modulation. It's not the volume going up, it's the pitch of the note moving up and down. And the only real difference between a vibrato pedal and a chorus pedal is that the chorus pedal leaves your clean signal blended in, but the vibrato signal removes it, and all you hear is the precise and full sound of your guitar modulating pitch. In the 1950s, Fender released one of the most popular guitars ever made, the Fender Stratocaster, and that guitar had an arm on it. It was called in the advertisements a tremolo arm, but it was actually vibrato because it moved the pitch of the note, not the volume of the note. So if I play a chord, this approach of mechanically moving and pitching the tightness of the strings was the very first vibrato effect for the electric guitar. In 1967, an engineer in Japan named Fumio Maeda invents what is later to be called the Univibe. And this pedal is the first electronic vibrato device ever manufactured for the guitar. It has a switch where you have chorus mode and vibrato mode. Switch to the vibrato, it removes the clean signal completely, leaving the modulated signal fully wet. It has that seasick, moving, bent, melted vinyl record thing. It's really cool. Since the release of that 1967 Univibe pedal that did vibrato originally, there have been a lot of effects through the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s that have pitch vibrato in them. Sometimes it's a flanger or a phaser or a chorus with a switch. But in 1982, this was created, the Boss VB-2, and it is the definitive guitar pitch vibrato effect. A lot of effects makers like myself have taken inspiration from this. It is the origin of what we think of now as the perfect pitch vibrato for guitar. In 2016, they even released a new updated version of it. So if you like what you heard there in that sample, check this out because this is really expensive, like embarrassingly expensive. Practically speaking, vibrato can add a really cool three-dimensional sound. You can use it as an effect that's extremely noticeable, but you can also use it as an always-on thing that adds depth and dimension. That's what I tend to prefer, but a few of my favorite examples are Madison Cunningham's Pin It Down.
I think we've been here once before.
Actually used the JHS Emperor in the vibrato mode for almost that entire record. Then you have Dawes' Time Spent in Los Angeles.
I used to think someone would love me for the places I have been,
which is a VB-2 on for the entire song, I believe. And then you also have artists like Mac DeMarco, where every single song has some sort of vibrato going on.
about a bed.
first time I ever heard vibrato in a super noticeable modern approach was by a band called The Boards of Canada on an album called The Campfire Head Phase. It's a really versatile effect for all types of genres. If you're interested in adding vibrato to your sound, here are some of my favorites. Let me start with a few of our own pedals and a definite shameless plug. First off, at $100, the 3 Series Chorus has a toggle that removes all that clean signal and does a true pitch vibrato. Then we have the Emperor that I showed earlier. This is a true bucket brigade chorus, meaning it uses the technology from the 80s, the really warm analog sound. It does vibrato, chorus, it has tap tempo, tons of features. You can even hook up an expression pedal. Then we have the Unicorn, which is a take on that Univibe pedal that I showed at the beginning. So it does the vibrato thing, but it does it with a photocell light bulb instead of a bucket brigade chip. This is my favorite type of vibrato, is the Univibe sound with that switch set to vibrato. And then we have the Artificial Blonde that we created with Madison because this became her signature sound literally on all of her guitar tracks. So we worked on a stereo version of that, simplified with a mode switch so you can choose between 2 different speeds and depths. It's a really cool, useful pedal for leaving on all the time or adding in a more dramatic effect and having both those settings in the same pedal. Some non-JHS things that I am extremely fond of. First off is the Warped Vinyl by Chase Bliss. This pedal is brilliant, and I think it really helped popularize the vibrato trend that we're in right now. Way before it was cool, he brought this out, and it is a phenomenal unit. Then we have things like the Clone Theory by EHX. These are super affordable on Reverb. We have the Flamma Mod, which has a lot of different modes. This is extremely affordable. You can find it on Jeff Bezos' website, www.amazon.com. The TC Electronics Viscous Vibe?
Viscous.
Is it Viscous? Viscous Vibe is a take on the Univibe, so it's gonna be like this guy or my Unicorn, but again, a little more accessible price point. There's a now vintage pedal, which makes me embarrassingly old. It's from the 90s, the Vibro Thang. It's not a Vibro thing, it's a thing. There's a big difference in a thing and a thing. We have to show you some options for these if these are a little too pricey, because I feel like everyone deserves to have some VB-2 format. The TC Electronic TailSpin is a really wonderful take on it. It even has a little bit of the color vibe going on. Color vibe? That was accidentally said, loved it. And then last but not least, the TC Electronic Shaker, which is a little nicer line of their pedals. This has a lot more options. So that's it. Go buy a vibrato, shake it up a little, do something different. Modulate. Hashtag modulations for everyone. Modulation Nation. Vibrato vibin.
Joe Vibin.
Joe vibin.
Vibrato.
Good vibrato, yes. If you like this type of episode, just say so in the comments and hit like. Have a wonderful day.